JBR Podcast.
Wake up and check it out.
Where music and life connects. Let's go!
RiffCoin wasn't created as an investment. That's not what this is about. It's a way for fans to support artists and for musicians to grow with their community. This podcast is just sharing what we're building and why. Not financial advice, just real talk.
Hold on, I gotta turn my lights on here. Fucking. As always, highly unprepared.
We're so professional.
I know. And now my control, like, oh man. Anyway. Whatever. There's only fucking one light work.
No, the one behind your head is pretty
fuck.
bright.
There we go. Got my shit together. Okay.
Hey.
I'm gonna cut all this out.
You say that and then you don't.
No, I'm gonna fucking cut it out. See what it looks like in post and then make the decision. Okay, so we're back talking about RiffCoin. Because RiffCoin. Because a lot of shit has changed since we did our last one, like less than a month ago. When did we do that?
It seems like it was just yesterday, and yet it was so long ago because so much has happened.
Yes. So for those that saw it and those that didn't, we did a video on RiffCoin, which is like a cryptocurrency token that I've created for the music business where fans support musicians. And we'll get into what that's all about. But at that point during that video, I was still working on what they call a smart contract, which is like the agreement you have. Because with cryptocurrency, once you create a structure and you deploy it to the blockchain, it's immutable. It's like, that's it. You can't change it, right? So it was got to get it right. And, there's infrastructure that you put in place for like how it all works. Because once you commit to it, there's no turning back. Like that's what it is. Which is
gives
good.
people peace of mind too, in that like you really had to go through the right hoops to get it to where it is today.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is what it is, and it can never change on somebody. That's kind of like what makes crypto really attractive. Like you think, like imagine, if you deal with a bank and the bank can just get a new board of directors or they can get a new policy and they can just change shit on you. Right? They can increase your transaction fees. They can add transaction fees. Things like that. With RiffCoin, those things are in place and they can never be changed.
Yeah.
They are what they are forever. Right? That's like the beauty of it. So what has changed since the last time we talked? Well, you were asking me, when was I going to deploy it so that people could use it and it would become, a live utility as opposed to just an idea that's in development. And I said, well, hopefully by Christmas.
Yeah. So James, when are you going to deploy it?
Well, at the time of this video, deployed it 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So on March 28th, 2025, it got deployed, which is amazing. I'm super excited. It is now out there on the blockchain for people to adopt. But now comes the actual hard work in terms of letting people know what this is, what utility is, like how it works, what it's for. And that's kind of why we wanted to jump on, this video. So I put out yesterday, my so-called Sunday day off. I wrote a blog page. So I'm just going to like riffcoin.ca is the site and all this information is there, but I'm going to read this off. So, why RiffCoin? It's a real solution for musicians. So I'm reading if I start to sound like a robot because, I didn't finish high school.
Read it to me.
Okay, so for decades, musicians They've relied on tips, merchandise sales, gigs, streams to earn a living. And those methods often come with middlemen, low payouts, or one-time transactions. So RiffCoin changes that by offering direct fan to artist support, earnings that can grow in value over time, passive rewards for both fans and artists, and a decentralized platform with built-in safeguards. So when a fan gives $10 worth of RFC, which is the name for RiffCoin, like Bitcoin would be BTC. So when fans give $10 worth of RFC to an artist, that artist doesn't just get paid $10. They receive tokens that could grow in value as the RiffCoin community grows. And it's support for future potential. And it's built on the Binance Smart Chain, which you don't really have to care about if you're not a crypto geek. And it has smart protections in place. So, and I'll refer to RiffCoin as RFC. So RFC is deployed on the Binance Smart Chain for speed, scalability, and low transaction fees. But unlike the thousands and thousands of high-risk cryptocurrencies that flood the space, this is built with key features for security and sustainability. And those features include what we call transaction cooldown and limits. So that just prevents manipulation by bots and, whales, as they call it, like people that own massive amounts and they buy and sell to like manipulate the market. Whitelist only liquidity additions. So this means that only trusted wallets can add liquidity. And that means like to the pool for the sustainability and the stabilization of the pool. And the pool is, RiffCoin and USDT, which is like a US value to the US dollar. And then an emergency pause feature, which would allow, the RiffCoin team to react if there's like a major exploit or some sort of vulnerability that is detected. You can stop the contract from operating and halt all transactions so that you can deal with something. So if something bad's happening, it doesn't get out of control.
An
And
immediate
these
safeguard.
Exactly. Yeah. And these functions, because they're semi-unusual to cryptocurrencies in general, they may, and I have noticed in the 2 days it's been deployed, trigger some alerts on token scanners like DEX Scanner. But they're intentional and they're built for long-term trust, not short-term pump and dumps, as you call them, right? Where people just try to make money off of somebody else. Because this isn't really for high-risk investment or investment in any reason. For a musician, they'll look at it as an investment, but it's a non-cash investment because they're just setting up a wallet and saying, hey, fans at my show, tip me RiffCoin. Fans are buying RiffCoin, not as an investment, just to tip. So it's completely and fundamentally different than the utility of most, if not all, cryptocurrency. I don't know of anything that functions like this.
Yeah.
So, how do holders benefit? And holders are people that, buy RiffCoin and just sit on it. They buy it, they put it in their wallet, like their digital wallet, and they just sit on it forever. Usually and traditionally in crypto, you do that to hold on to it so that when it appreciates in value, you can sell it and make money. And there's going to be that component of people that use RiffCoin for this. That's just going to happen because it's deployed on the blockchain. It can't be changed. Anybody can buy it. Anybody can sell it. There's mechanisms in place to stop manipulation so that the intention of RiffCoin stays as stable as possible. So whether you're a fan, whether you're an artist or just a supporter, holding RFC comes with built-in perks. So it's what we call reflections is one of the perks. And those are passive rewards. So a portion of every buy and sell and transfer of RFC is redistributed to everybody that has a wallet with RiffCoin in it. So just by holding RiffCoin, your balance is going to grow over time. And that's based on how much you hold versus all the other wallets and the amount of all the wallets in there. You just get, the transaction fee takes, 10 RiffCoin, and then it says, oh, there's 10 wallets and they all have 10 RiffCoin. Well, they all get 1 RiffCoin as a reflection, right? It's just like a mathematic mechanism. So if you have a wallet with RiffCoin, you're going to see your balance grow.
So it incentivizes those of us that are buying to always have something in our wallet.
Yes. You don't, if you want to get more. So if you're an artist, getting RiffCoin from your fan base and kind of sitting on it longer term, potentially as the ecosystem grows and more people adopt using this, the value of your portfolio should grow. And there's no risk to you because you haven't had to pay money to get RiffCoin as like a traditional investment or risky opportunity. You've just collected it from fans. Fans have not incurred any risk because they just buy RiffCoin and pay and support and tip, the musicians. Now, somebody that's a fan that buys, let's say they buy 100 RiffCoin, and they might buy it a week before they've tipped anyone. Well, all the transactions that happen in that week, they might go look and see, oh, look, now I got 110 RiffCoin, more, and then they tip. So, their money goes a little bit further in the fact that, they buy 100 RiffCoin, and as transactions happen, they get a little bit more RiffCoin in their wallet. So
my thought as a fan would be that I would purchase for myself. My plan is probably to, purchase $100 worth of RFC. And then when my balance gets down to $10, that's when I'm going to purchase more. I'm going to keep a minimum in my wallet so that in between shows, I'm earning that, what'd you call it?
the reflections, you're
The
getting that
reflections. I'm earning the
passive
reflections
tokens.
rather than I go to one show a month and, oh, I want to tip this band $20, and I go and buy $20 worth of RiffCoin and then tip it out to the band. My wallet then is empty, and I'm not going to earn those reflections.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think every fan is going to have their own strategy that kind of works for them, and every artist is going to have their own strategy. When I say artists, you paying artists or tipping, well, that's going to be based artist to artist. Myself as an artist, I'll probably have a QR code for my wallet where people can scan and just pay if they have RiffCoin.
You should
And
put it on your album, your new album that you have coming out.
100%, that's a great idea, and I'm gonna do that actually, and help promote RiffCoin by putting it on my album. And I'll get the RiffCoin, and I sell CDs, and CDs are kind of dead a lot of times. Like I just did a show Saturday and I gave a bunch away just because I want to get rid of them. I got thousands of them in my garage, and they've been paid for more or less, and it's just, get it out there. It's a marketing tool more than it's something I'm trying to make money off of.
Yeah, but
Like
on the
we did with
website where you
CDs.
have a picture of your album and you have a QR
Yeah.
code beside it.
Yeah, and like I said, that's artist to artist. An artist might put it on their CD, their website. They might just say, hey, we're taking song requests. If you tip us RiffCoin, we'll play, the song you want us to play. Or they might say, hey, it's $20 cash for a CD, but $10 if you give me RiffCoin, because I'm behind the project, and go, I know that, in 10 years, I'm going to sit on that RiffCoin. So I don't mind giving my CD away today, knowing it's RiffCoin that in, 10 years, it could be worth $100. Who knows, right? That's all person. So, I look at it as a cryptocurrency with a mission compared to any other crypto out there. So, it's about empowering musicians with a decentralized income stream. It's not about speculation. It's not about gimmicks, and it's not about like empty hype, right?
Yeah.
So if people say what's decentralized, well, a bank is centralized. It's owned by a corporation, and they can, I guess, change the rules on you at the end of the day. What's decentralized? Well, it's a smart contract that I wrote and I deployed on the blockchain. And even though I guess technically you would say, well, you own this, but I can't change it. I can't turn around and say, hey, that transaction fee, I'm going to raise it 2% now that there's, and people just have to pay it. Like that's where it's decentralized. And it's, when I say it's on the blockchain, if you go to riffcoin.ca, there's information where you can go to what they call bscscan. I think it's .com. Yeah, it's .com. So anyways, you can go and see any token that's on the blockchain, right? You can see their like the contract, right? And that allows you to see the details of the code of the contract. That might mean nothing to 99% of the people in the crypto space, but that's transparency. And you
Yeah.
can see every single transaction that's done. You don't know people's identity, but it creates a public ledger, like a business record. And it says, this address bought this amount of RiffCoin from the pool. This address sold this amount of RiffCoin to the pool. This address transferred this amount of RiffCoin to another address. Now, the addresses are like OX0 900 numbers and letters later.
Right.
That's your address, right? And so, it's copying and pasting that through. We'll get into it later, like your digital wallets, right? They're like a big long string, as you've seen, because you now are the owner of some RiffCoin.
Yep.
That's kind of like your wallet address, and that
Yeah.
gets easier over time because there's things like Web3 addresses. So I have jamesbuddyrogers.x, and if you send a variety of crypto you don't have to use that long string. You can just send it to jamesbuddyrogers.x. And then it goes, and then I have certain cryptos with those long, ugly numbers in there, and it'll just redirect. It's like a website. Think of it like a website. Like if you go to jamesbuddyrogers.com or riffcoin.ca, all that's doing is resolving an IP address, 187.162. blah, 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 blah. Right? Because nobody's going to remember, hey, what's your website? It's 163.27. Like people would forget. But when you say it's riffcoin.ca, oh, that's easy. The computer resolves all that stuff. So, as I said, it's empowering musicians with a decentralized income stream. So what can artists do? Artists accept RiffCoin as tips or payments for merch, music, whatever they want. They earn RiffCoin through fan engagement. And they hold RiffCoin in those digital wallets for future value without needing to invest or buy crypto themselves. And then what do fans get? Fans, they get to support artists directly, and they get to know that their contribution may appreciate in value over time with the artist. And they can also earn passive rewards for holding and participating in the ecosystem, which just circles back again and helps them further support artists directly, and because artists struggle, right? So I think a lot of fans like yourself are going to do that. So, RiffCoin, we believe that artists shouldn't have to become traders. They shouldn't have to be investors. They shouldn't have to be tech experts, to benefit from the blockchain.
No, we're doing a webinar.
Come and join us. Grab a mic. Anyway, before we're so rudely interrupted. I'm just kidding. No, so what I was saying was like, just like artists shouldn't have to be traders, investors, tech experts. They can benefit from RiffCoin, easily. Like an artist just needs to create a wallet and get that QR code wallet address for fans to pay, right?
And frankly, like that's the hardest part. And it's not super hard, and they may need to call a friend, but once you've got the wallet, from there as an artist, you're laughing
Yeah, and so
all the way to the bank,
yeah,
so to speak.
well, hopefully, right. See, right now it's going to be like new tokens are hard to launch, and in the crypto space, it's like $3 trillion of trading volume that happens, and like I said, most people are doing it on speculative investments, which
Yeah.
this isn't. So there's like this cross of misunderstanding in terms of like a lot of people in the music business aren't in the crypto space, but they're going to want to get involved. So got to make it as easy as possible. So my work now moving forward is going to be trying to get RiffCoin listed on more popular exchanges. Because there's thousands and thousands of them out there.
Yeah.
Not every exchange, like I could go get it listed on CoinMarketCap or Binance. If I wanted to drop $100,000 or $500,000 and pay,
Yeah.
but no, like that, this is grassroots. It's been a passion project. It's my own money that got it off the ground. And I don't
Yeah.
profit from RiffCoin. Like all these transaction fees that happen, they go back to feed the ecosystem. And there's a white paper on the site if you want to dive into the super details about it. But basically, there's a 3% fee, like a core fee. So if you're transferring wallet to wallet, there's 3%, and it's all charged in RFC, like the RiffCoin. So if I send you RiffCoin, then I'm going to be charged 3% on that, right? So if I send you 100 RiffCoin, the contract is going to take 3 RiffCoin. What it's going to do is it's going to take one of those RiffCoin and put it into an artist wallet, and another one of so 1% to the artist wallet, 1% to the community wallet, and then 1% to the reflections, which then go back to all the wallet holders. So I don't profit off of the transaction fees. And the artist and community wallets are offline wallets. They're not part of the circulating supply. So they kind of reduce the supply and drive up the value of the token. And this gets, I guess, a little technical and geeky, but that's just designed for the ecosystem to create stability and long-term, success, essentially. And if you buy from the pool, which is if you're selling RiffCoin to get USD back, or you're taking a cryptocurrency like USD and buying RiffCoin, then if you buy, there's an extra 0.5% fee, and that fee goes to the liquidity pool. And if you sell, it's a 1% fee to kind of encourage more holding than selling, because that's going to discourage people that just want to try and pump and dump and make money off of RiffCoin, which is not the intent. It's for long-term artist stability based on fan support. In that, all those fees go back into the liquidity pool to help stabilize the price and have like long-term success, essentially. So like to get involved, as I said, a musician just creates a wallet like MetaMask, and at riffcoin.ca there's information on how to set that up if people don't. There's lots of other wallets out there to use, and they all work. Because it's not a one size fits all, it's going to be difficult to hold everyone's hand on things. I know your cat is funny, slapping you in the face with the tail. I love it. It's hilarious. Yeah, and for fans, the fans are going to be the ones that have I guess the biggest challenge, especially if they have no crypto experience.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to create a wallet, and then they're going to have to figure out how to buy the RiffCoin, right? And then know how to transfer it to somebody. So one of the things I'm working on now, other than getting it listed and on exchanges, where that's going to take years and time depending on how fast this is adopted or if it's adopted at all. So in order to buy RiffCoin, if you're like watching this going, I want to buy it right now, at riffcoin.ca, there's a how to buy button. And basically, if you click that, it's going to open up a page where you can take, a credit card or a debit card, and you can buy BNB. Like RiffCoin is RFC, you buy BNB, and that is like the Binance currency. Like if you're familiar or heard, like Bitcoin or Ethereum are like the top two, right? So if you were doing Bitcoin, you would be buying Bitcoin, but because mine's on the Binance Smart Chain, because it's just way cheaper. Transactions would be 10 to 60 cents versus $6 to $12.
Right.
Right. So you buy your BNB, and that sends it to your like MetaMask wallet, and that's kind of the standard that I'll speak to in terms of wallets. But again, you can use any wallet. Then your BNB goes to your MetaMask wallet, and then in your wallet there's a send button, so you can send it to somebody, and you just put in their address and send it. You can receive, where if you click that, it'll give you your address, which you give to somebody, and then they'll send to you. That's what artists would do. And then there's a swap button. So what swap allows you to do is it says, well, I've got $100 in BNB. I want to swap it for RFC. That's how you get your RFC. And the reason it's that extra step and a little complicated is because this is a new token, and it's much harder to get involved with. Like when you get more popular, or if you have millions and millions of dollars in investment, then you can just buy your way to, the Coinbase sites and the Binance sites and all these sites that you can just go cash to RiffCoin. Simple, right? Why do I have to put my credit card in and get BNB and then swap to RiffCoin? Why can't I just buy RiffCoin? Well, that is something I'm working on, but a lot of these payment gateways in the crypto space, which that would be like PayPal or Stripe or something
Okay.
like that, in terms of like the cash. Like there's these other companies that take cash and put it into crypto, but it's centralized, not decentralized. So it's sometimes difficult to get cash into the crypto space because of government regulation. So the site riffcoin.ca is not going to have the how-tos and like step-by-steps of how to do that, because I'm here in BC, Canada, and I can do it for my provincial and national Canadian regulations, but somebody in the States is going to be different. And even in the States, my understanding is that it's regulated differently state by state.
Oh,
And then if somebody's in UK, it's different than if they're in India, right? And this is going to be a global thing. So,
Yeah.
as you're supporting your local musicians you love in the lower mainland, you're getting reflections from transactions of people sending RiffCoin to their fans in Australia or India or UK or Spain or like wherever, right? So if it becomes a standard like that, the sky's the limit in terms of where this can go. And obviously early adopters are going to likely benefit the most long term. And
No, that just
why I
makes
say that,
sense.
and why I say that is because right now RiffCoin is roughly about 1 penny per RiffCoin. So if you give me 1,000 RiffCoin, like let's do some math. I don't even have my phone here, but I'm going to do some quick math here because I can't do it off the top of my head.
Hey, I've got a question.
$100 is 10,000 RiffCoin.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you tipped a musician $100 and that musician got 10,000 RiffCoin, and they sat on it, and this grew to being $1 a RiffCoin, which is not uncommon. XRP is a crypto that I'm involved in, and in 2017 it was worth 20 cents a crypto. Now it's worth like $2.50, and that's US funds.
Right.
So if RiffCoin went from a penny to $1,
Yeah.
and that artist sat on it for the 10 years, say it took to do that, their $100 just turned into 10 grand.
Yeah.
They could actually be, I don't want to say become rich because this isn't speculative, but it has huge potential. And where it's not as big, everything in life crossing the street's a risk, so everything's a risk. So no financial advice, like I said in the last video, but the fact that half the people, pretty much, or most of the people, well, 100% of the people it's intended to, fans, don't buy this as an investment.
Right.
They buy it to tip and support musicians. Musicians are looking at it, yes, perhaps as an investment or some sort of like financial pension mechanism to say, sure, I'll accept, RiffCoin for the next 15, 20 years or however old, until you get to be 60, 70, 80 years old and go, I can't play anymore because I got my arthritis is so bad. And then you go, I collected all this RiffCoin for years, which was like free play money. Like they didn't have any risk other than tip me at the shows, right? Like if they want to get into giving merchandise away for RiffCoin, then maybe they can say, well, I could have had cash or, some unrealized loss at that point. But fans are just buying it. And if fans continually buy and continually tip and continually buy and continually tip, which they do anyways, so they're not spending any more money. They're just transacting in RiffCoin as opposed to cash. And that's just going to constantly, over time, slowly drive the price up and up and up and up and up, which is, so if you get in early, obviously it's going to be worth more than before. That doesn't mean that, if you're watching this video 5 years from now, that it's not going to be worth getting involved in, because if the price constantly moves, you're constantly going to benefit from it. And it's just empowered by fan support, right? And
Yeah.
there's no risk to the fans because they're just, you know, tipping out and buying or however that artist wants to accept RiffCoin, right? And you're going to see it different from artist to artist to artist. They're going to do whatever they want because it's decentralized. It's, there's no, I guess, rules in that sense in terms of like how you want to accept. Well, you have your wallet and you make up however you want to do it. I have my ideas as an artist myself for the things I'm going to do. And like you threw out the idea of putting it on your album. That's a great idea. I'm going to do that now and say it was my idea.
Hey, and I know a t-shirt person too, by the way. So if you wanted to
Yeah,
put your
I want to get a
emblem on
hat.
your t-shirt and wear it, it shows,
No,
like, I don't
I
know.
want a hat. I want a hat with the little R logo that I designed. But yeah,
And a
so
QR code. Put the
and a yeah, and a QR code so you can scan my head, right? Well, and for right now, there's very little activity. This is just being launched,
2
and
days
I
ago.
couldn't
Yeah.
two days ago. For the last few months, I've been kind of running the idea around people in my circles, and everybody seems to love it. Now it's launched. Now it's there. My job's going to be trying to get more visibility on it, make it easier for people to, you know, buy RiffCoin as that aren't tech savvy or and you don't even have to be tech savvy, right? Like there's a few steps. You got to install a wallet, but once you do it, it's pretty simple. On the how to buy page, there are like simple 3 steps on how to install your wallet, and there are 3 simple steps in terms of how to buy you know RiffCoin, to buy the BNB and then swap it out. And once you do it once, you're like, oh, that's easy. And then when it gets to that point, friends will be helping friends and,
Yeah.
go from there. Unfortunately, I can't create like exact videos so people can follow along. And it's just the space that, you know, um, it
Yeah.
is what it is right now. But like I keep saying, it's like emails. Back in the 90s when emails came out, everybody was like, fuck, this is too complicated. This is too stupid. It's a fad. I'm sticking to the fax machine. Right? And you fast forward today, and emails is just a daily reality.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's going to happen in the crypto space. It's not going anywhere. I've been involved with crypto since 2008, and it's only advancing and advancing, and it's way more recognized now than it was 10 or 15 years ago. And it's going to be the standard. And part of the reason you've seen, if you've followed crypto at all, that it's tanked the last 4 or 5 years is government regulation. They've become, the music business did it with Napster. What the fuck is some kid in a college dorm in Boston going to do to the music business? Well, he created the MP3 and fucking crushed you.
Yeah.
It destroyed the music business
Yeah.
in terms of what we knew it was and how it operated at that time. And that is what's happening with cryptocurrency. And the governments are now finally starting to recognize it, which is why they're talking about making their own digital currencies, and credit score systems and all these other things that go along with that, because this is truly decentralized and they can't control it. They can't stop it. I guess if you turn the power off, it's over. But that my contract's on the blockchain and RiffCoin functions the way it does, and nobody makes any fucking money off of it unless you're doing the speculative investments, which is not what RiffCoin's designed to do. It's designed for fans to just go, I'm going to buy and I'm going to tip artists, and the artists are able to cash that out. And if they hold it, they'll be able to cash it out for even more. Will the price constantly do this? No, it's going to go up and down, because how it basically works is when people buy, there's buy pressure. Price goes up. If all the artists start to sell, the price can go back down. So you do get into that equation of, if you're the last person to sell, you're getting less. I might sell mine first and I get a dollar a RiffCoin. I make $100, and then, my friend goes, oh shit, you made $100, and it's tomorrow already. And now they make $50 because the price was driven down. That's just how, finances, I guess, in that sense, work in terms of like stock markets and things like that. And that's where I say whales. You don't want whales manipulating the system, which circles back to why I mentioned I have those mechanisms in place, because a lot of crypto enthusiasts, they might stay away from this token because of the fee structure, because they know that I can whitelist and blacklist addresses. Because if I see somebody and the team gets notified, like people are going to manipulate and try to crush the system, and especially early on when liquidity's low, because I don't have $1 million to throw into liquidity. So
Yeah.
it's going to take grassroots growth. And if there are going to be things where, people appear to be manipulating it, they could get blocked, right? And that's where RiffCoin's not fully decentralized, because I have to keep some sort of control, because I don't want the abusers of this to ruin what the intent is for.
Yeah. That's a
right?
good thing.
So that's and that's
But
it
it's
is
it's
what it is.
decentralized in the way that you'll never log in and see we've updated our terms and conditions and we've added this fee and that. So
No,
click
that'll
here
never
to
happen.
confirm that you accept this.
That can't happen, even if I want it to happen.
Yeah.
Can't. And another thing I'll note is, because crypto space can be confusing, and I've even done it, where you send a wrong currency to a wrong address. There is a recovery function in the contract, and I haven't quite figured out what my policy is going to be for it. But let's just say you sent the wrong currency to the contract.
Okay.
What happens is you send and go, why has it never been received? Well, the system can't do it. It's the wrong currency. It gets stuck in limbo, and it's just like in cyberspace and lost, right? There's a recovery function that should most likely be able to recover that.
Okay.
Now, there are fees involved, because you have to pay fees to the blockchain and stuff to get those recovery. But let's just say somebody sent $100 or $1,000, like, oh shit, and they panic and go, oh my God, I sent USDC instead of USDT. It's lost. I've done this before, right? That they can contact me through riffcoin.ca and say, hey, this is what happened. And then I'll ask you for wallet addresses and things, and then we can work together and try and recover that.
Nice.
Right. So there are some of those things, that are in place, and anybody that wants to geek out and know more, there are the addresses in that blog on my site and on the site for seeing the smart contract, seeing where it is on the blockchain, the ledgers, all the transactions, the white paper, the tokenomics. Like, you can dive right in, and I'm happy
And that's
to
all
answer
on
anybody.
riffcoin.ca.
riffcoin.ca has all that information, and more is going to be added over time. I'm sure there's something I forgot, so somebody's going to message me and say, well, where's this? And I'm going to go, oh, great, thanks. Let me add it. Right? So,
And please do. Like if
yeah,
we don't know what we don't know type thing, right? So
exactly. Yeah, no, I encourage that from anybody. Yeah, and anybody has questions, by all means, all the social medias are up there. Things are a little slow in terms of activity. I want to try and keep a lot of it to the Discord. I know that that's been popular, primarily because those that really have questions and want to be active, they're already familiar with Discord. That's always been kind of the place to go for those things. So there is a Discord, and those links are all on the site. You can get them. So yeah, join me there, and go to RiffCoin and figure it out. Like, just get a wallet. And any musicians watching, reach out to me, because that artist wallet is designed for me to help incentivize people by offering some sort of initial RiffCoin airdrops and things like that, to help onboard musicians to say, well, I'll give you a bit of RiffCoin, but then in return, you have to start promoting RiffCoin at your shows and using it as a mechanism to get tipped or pay or whatever you want to do, right? We can have that. That's going to be a case-by-case thing, because if you're, the type of person like me that, plays a club to 3 people at every show, you're probably it's going to be a smaller thing than if a larger artist that, fills 1,000-seat halls or coliseums comes
Yeah.
to the table, right? It's like supply and demand, right? So and that's again the transaction fees that go back and fund those wallets so that I don't deplete what I started with and then have nothing to continually grow. It's always replenished with transaction fees to go back out and give out to artists. And the community wallet, that's going to be for, maybe for nonprofits, societies, festivals, clubs, whoever wants to be part of this kind of movement
Mm.
to take it on. Like, let's all benefit from it if we can and create an ecosystem and leverage blockchain technology
Yeah.
to make it happen, right? That's kind of the motive. So the success of this is going to be, will people adopt it, and can I do a good enough job to get people to adopt it? Or does it just fall flat on its face and I lose my shirt because nobody adopted it? Because now it's like I can't do anything more than like get the word out there and help people as best as I can, but it's not going to be successful if the masses of artists don't say, yeah, I'm on board, let's do it. There's no risk to them but maybe time to set it up. And then if we get 1 million musicians, like million bands that are willing to do this, and each of those bands gets their fans to like buy $50 worth of RiffCoin to tip out, like we have a $50 million liquidity pool. Like the price would be insane.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen overnight, but as that grows, like, musicians they're gonna benefit huge from this. The
Yeah, for
potential
sure.
is just like limitless. We need people to adopt it, and it's really early stages, and
Which
I
is
know
why
it's
you
gonna,
want to adopt it now.
yeah,
Get in on the ground floor.
get in on the ground. But sometimes I hate that term because it feels like, oh, if I don't get in on the ground floor, I'm gonna lose my money, or I'm gonna lose out, not benefit like other people. it at
Which is
it's
not the
structured
case.
that at any level it would be good. Yeah, you probably will benefit more, especially if you're a musician and you're getting RiffCoin now. Like I said, $100 is going to get you $10,000 in RiffCoin. Like let me do some math. If we hit that $50 million um liquidity, like I said, if 1 million bands all got, well, $1, sorry, my math is even worse. If you know whatever, $50 million in the LP, that'd be $100 a RiffCoin.
That's insane.
And if you were tipped, hold on a sec, 100. If you were tipped that $100 in the start, that would be $1 million. That's insane.
We're not saying you're going to get $1 million,
No, we're not. Oh, I'm just saying it can grow. And if you look
but
at the
it's not
history of
impossible.
cryptos, like
It's
it's
not
absolutely
impossible.
not impossible. It's 100% not impossible. I remember selling Bitcoin when it hit $200 a coin. Sold like a dozen of them. Thought I was like, oh my God, I'm selling because this is crazy. If I had those now, I'd have like over $1 million
Yeah.
if I held them 10 years longer.
That
You
hindsight,
know what I
eh?
mean? So, but again, I don't want to get speculative,
Yeah.
but the concept is that, as an artist myself, moving forward, I'm going to create the materials to start to collect it. And to be frank, like you said, we're booking some shows through your entertainment company, and people are going to go, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
What
because
is,
we're going to be promoting RiffCoin, that the band
yeah.
is accepting tips via RiffCoin. And I want people to ask, what's that? Like, and then I'm gonna have a little something that goes, here, check it out.
Yeah. And there's going to be, yeah, nobody's going to tip RefCoin that day because they're going to go, what the
Nope,
fuck is this? It might take 6 months or a year for some of the people to start
it's
to figure
okay.
it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
It, it,
okay. But
it's
that's what
hard to
it's all
predict.
about. It's word of mouth
Yeah.
will make it happen. And from the artist perspective, I mean, print out um your QR code and prop it up on the microphone that says we take RiffCoin. And when people start asking, what's that? Have a 30-second elevator speech on it. Or just
Yeah,
say,
exactly.
go check it out, riffcoin.ca.
I'm going to actually, that reminded me of something. I want to create on the site now a page that will provide those assets. Obviously, I can't provide wallet QR codes,
Right.
but I can provide like, RiffCoin branding kind of stuff, so you
Yeah.
can do it. But yeah, anyways, artists, go download MetaMask and
Start the
get your
process.
wallet set up. Yeah, and go to riffcoin.ca, check it out. Hit me up on social media, email me, whatever.
What do they
Or
say? It
D.
takes 3 times to put it in. riffcoin.ca, riffcoin.ca, riffcoin.ca.
Yeah, RiffCoin, because we all playing riffs. Well, guitar riffs. That's kind of where it originated from. But yeah, riffcoin.ca. What was it again?
riffcoin.ca.
Riffcoin.ca. Riffcoin. Riffcoin. While you're in bed, riffcoin.ca. The weather is bright and shiny. Riffcoin.ca. And you will sleep very well tonight. Riffcoin.ca. Anyways, I'm going to go cook dinner now because
All
I'm
right.
hungry. Riffcoin.ca.
Right. Riffcoin.ca.
Okay, see you later. Riffcoin.ca.
Bye.
Bye. Riffcoin.ca.